What is up guys, Moritz here with another video. So in today's video I'm going to look at two of my favorite cities in the world, which are Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur, to see which is the most attractive for expats. So to better understand which city is best for you, I'm going to look at different categories and put them head to head against one another. These include things like quality of life, cost of living, visa options, entertainment and nightlife, quality of healthcare. So this will help get a better idea of which city is best for expats, including digital nomads, retirees, as well as more traditional ones who move to a city for their work. So let's just jump right into it. So I think we should keep a few things in mind before going to the different categories in order to make the comparison in both cities more fair. Firstly, the size difference between both of these cities is quite considerable. For example, KL has a population of 1.8 million, whereas Bangkok has a population of over 8 million people. Similarly, the size of the metropolitan area of both cities varies considerably, with Bangkok having a metropolitan area of over 1,500 square kilometers, whereas KL has a metropolitan area of 250 square kilometers. As a result, you'll see that the difference in size leads to a number of advantages and disadvantages in both cities. For example, due to the larger size in the city, I think Bangkok usually has worse traffic than KL in terms of traffic congestion, especially during rush hour. In fact, if I could change one thing about Bangkok, it would probably be to reduce the amount of traffic congestion. On the other hand, the size difference does work in Bangkok's favor in terms of connectivity to other cities. So generally you'll find that Bangkok airport has more flights, having 105 destinations to 45 countries, whereas KL has flights to 115 destinations, but only to 31 different countries. So while both cities are well connected, I think Bangkok edges out KL in terms of direct flights to countries outside the region, which might be beneficial to you if you're flying in from home. So while quality of life can be a bit subjective, I think having access to safe environment, low levels of pollution, and good access to healthcare are three important factors in terms of making a city very livable. In terms of safety, I've never felt unsafe in either city, but as a well-bodied, able man, I don't feel unsafe in most cities around the world. But if we look at the Economist Intelligence Unit Safety Index city list, we see that Bangkok is listed as the 47th country on the list, whereas KL is number 35 on the list. So while both cities are safe, I think the main reason why KL ranks above Bangkok in terms of safety is that Bangkok can be a bit more prone to scams, but I think that's mostly to do with the fact of the type of tourists and expats who come to Bangkok, rather than actually Thai people being, more untrustworthy than people from Malaysia. For example, Bangkok is more popular amongst young backpacker types who stay in more cheaper areas, which might have higher levels of crime and also get drunk more often. So if you're drunk, you're more of a target for a scam than someone who's sober. Bangkok also has a much bigger sex industry, which is more prone to scamming than more normal traditional industries. In terms of healthcare, I think both cities are excellent, with both having very good quality of healthcare and both being very popular amongst healthcare tourists. So I think getting good quality healthcare in either city is going to be very easy for no matter which one you choose to live in. So in terms of air quality, Bangkok again is at disadvantage, being a much larger city, where it's currently ranked as the 66th most polluted city in the world, whereas KL is the 115th most polluted city in the world. So generally you're going to find that the air quality in Bangkok is a bit worse than KL. So as long as you're not reliant on a local salary, I think you'll find that both cities are very cheap compared to most other similar sized cities around the world. But overall, KL is going to be around 30% cheaper for your total cost of living. The biggest differences can be found in the rental prices, particularly for apartments in the city center or desirable expat areas, where you'll find that KL is generally 25% cheaper for a similar apartment that you'll find in Bangkok in the same kind of area. But you generally find that the rental price difference isn't that big when it comes to smaller units outside the city center, where they're pretty similar. However, large units outside the city center still tend to be 30 to 40% cheaper in KL than they are in Bangkok. So if you're moving to either city with a family, I think you'll find that the international schools in KL are considerably cheaper than similar level international schools in Bangkok. In terms of food, you'll find that street food can be a bit cheaper in Bangkok than KL, but that mid-range and Western style chains like McDonald's are generally cheaper in KL than they are in Bangkok. Bangkok is also cheaper than KL when it comes to alcohol, particularly when you drink domestic beer. So both cities are quite affordable, but if you want your best bang for your buck, I think KL is the clear winner here. Another area where they both differ quite a bit is in terms of your entertainment and leisure options. I think most people who like to go out and party and drink a lot, I think they will find that Bangkok is more suited for them than KL. This is because drinking is much more prevalent in Bangkok than it is in Kuala Lumpur. A large reason for this is also religion. I mean, in Malaysia, 60% Muslims, so they don't drink as much maybe as the local Thai population. Another big reason for this is that the expat or tourists who come to Bangkok are quite a bit different than the ones who come to KL. For example, I think Bangkok attracts more young, backpacker types who are into partying, as well as sexpats who are more into that adult nightlife style environment, which is not the case as much in KL. So KL attracts more like retirees or expats with families working for large multinational corporations. So lots of the times they're from Korea or Japan or other countries in the region. So which city is best for you really comes down to personal preference. As a family man with a wife and a small daughter, I'm less attracted to the partying lifestyle than maybe a younger version of myself would have been. So for me, KL can be more attractive. But if you're younger or more into that adult style entertainment, Bangkok is probably going to be a better option for you. In terms of food, I have nothing bad to say about either city. I think if you're a food lover, you're going to be spoiled for choice in both cities. Both cities also have very good food options for the regional eats, like from other countries in Asia. So if you want to have a bit of a variety, getting a good Japanese or Vietnamese cuisine is going to be very easy in either location. The same can be said for Western style food. I think you're not really going to have a problem eating more food that's similar to your local style cuisine in either one of these cities nowadays. So for expats, one of the big factors that makes a city attractive is the ease with which you can actually live there. And this has a lot to do with the type of visas that are available. So I think each country has advantages and disadvantages when it comes to visas for expats. For example, this might be different depending on your nationality, but on my nationality, as a Dutch passport holder, I can stay 90 days in Malaysia, whereas I can only stay 30 days in Thailand without a visa. So in the case of staying in KL or Bangkok as a digital nomad or part-time retiree, I think that KL is better, at least for my nationality, than Thailand. So both countries have a number of long-term visas which are available to foreigners, which I'll make a separate video about. So if you're interested in that, make sure to like and subscribe this video. But due to the closure of the Malaysia My Second Home program, I think that Bangkok is actually now easier to stay long-term because of Thailand's very popular Thailand Elite Visa. Makes it much easier to stay in the country long-term. But hopefully Malaysia will reopen the Malaysia My Second Home program. So if you're interested in that, I'll make sure to make an update video on that in the future as well. Also, both countries make it possible for foreigners to open businesses in the country. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure to like and subscribe because I'm going to make a few videos about that in the future as well. So I think both cities are fantastic for whether you're a digital nomad or a part-time retiree who's trying to escape the cold weather of Europe or North America in the winter for several months. They also both offer opportunities for longer term stay, but it all comes down to your own personal preference. So if you're looking at value for money, KL wins over Bangkok. But if you really want more of that party lifestyle, I think Bangkok is definitely better than KL. Also, if you want to have an easier time getting by with just English, it's probably better in KL because everyone more or less speaks English there, whereas in Thailand, it can be a bit more tricky, although I've had an easy time getting by in both cities with just using English. One thing to note though is that Malay is much easier to learn as a foreigner than Thai, especially because the alphabet's the same, the grammar is easier, and the language is phonetic, making it much easier to read and pronounce words. I've generally found that Bangkok is more popular amongst Western expats because of the fact that it's much more well known. But amongst people who've traveled more widely in the region, KL is often their most favorite city in Southeast Asia. I think that's one of the reasons why KL is ranked so high on the International Expat Survey rankings, where it's currently ranked as number 2 city in the world for expats. In any case, you should give both cities a try for yourself to see which city you like, because it really comes down to your own personal preferences. If you're interested in more videos about living in Malaysia or Thailand or other countries in Southeast Asia as well as the rest of the world, why not consider subscribing to this channel? I hope to see you in the next video.